עד הבוקר 134.
תפקידי האזרחים בצורה הטובה ביותר.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahakbrash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And this is going to be a prophecy watch, prophecy update. As you can see, all right, tens of thousands of Israelis are protesting against Netanyahu, all right, as he is called Netan, not a Jew, all right, in Tel Aviv, all right, and as you can see, all right, the very first comment is the most hated state in the world, all right. As you can see here, Netanyahu is losing credibility. Israelis want him gone, all right? And we're going to get into a few scriptures, a few articles, a few videos as well. And this is all a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, as Israel will be used as a means to draw out many of these nations, including Babylon the Great, to friction and war, all right? We see Iran, Russia, as we've always been telling you this, starting with our apostles and elders, when we came in, you know, these were the talking points, all right? But we're living in a time where a lot of people are waking up to the propaganda, all right, that's going on with this Zionist state of Israel, all right? And it's not biblical in a sense that these are the true people, because, again, once the true people are established in that state, okay, there will be complete peace. All right, right now, all right, the people are anteing up against their own prime minister, which, again, that's not scriptural either, all right? But, and they want him out, all right? So, as we know, when politicians get in trouble like this, all right, they create more crises to justify them staying in, or to have elections suspended, or to gain the trust of the people, all right? Same thing that's going on over here in Babylon the Great, all right? But on a little of a different scale. But as you can see, the people are waking up, all right? Everywhere you look, all right, they want this guy going. Let's listen to a little bit of this.
Good morning and welcome to Rising. We have an absolutely horrible, no good, very bad, awful show for you today without any interesting news or commentary. April Fools.
Very, very nicely done, Robbie. Although sometimes you borderline start the show that way, but it's not the 1st of April.
April Fool's Day, of course, is a legendarily terrifying...
demanding the removal of Benjamin Netanyahu and calling for new elections. This followed Saturday's protests in Tel Aviv and a separate anti-government protest. Many Israelis believe that Netanyahu is putting his political survival ahead of the nation and the hostages. Last night, before going under for a hernia operation, Netanyahu held a press conference in response to say that new elections would only benefit Hamas.
In addition, from harsher words from the US, Germany also wading into the war of words and switching tones on Israel, with the German chancellor visiting Israel last week and asking Netanyahu publicly, how can the goals of the war justify such terribly high costs? Supporting Israel...
And they're bombing, you know, children, all kind of evil, as we'll show you in a few other videos. And now a lot of these different countries are, you know, indifferent. Even Babylon the Great had to act as if they took a stance. See if I can bring that up. Against what's going on in Israel, where Biden so-called called Netanyahu, you know, Biden so-called, you know, is calling for them to cease bombing. But we know that's not the case. All right, it's just all for show, so people can really to believe that these aren't the same people that they've always been, which are a bunch of war criminals. Okay, and this is nothing more of an extension of colonialism. As we know, the state of Israel itself was established, all right, by the British, by the UN, and we know that the Rothschilds had their hand in that, the Red Shield people, all right. We're no longer going to hide these things. You know, ultimately, we know that laws are on the books to condemn people who tell these truths, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're just going to continue to tell the truth because this is what's happening in the world. All right. But as you can see here, Democrats worry Biden's support for Israel will ruin his campaign. So as you've been looking in the news, you know, Biden is so-called now calling Netanyahu to get him to cease and to stop, and telling him, you know, they're going too far, which is all for show. All right. But we're living at a time where major biblical prophecies are being fulfilled, and these people are being found out to be liars, and that's a big part of prophecy, which is why they're moving the way that they're moving. Let's get this here, and then we'll get some other articles, because again, when the true people of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are established in that land, all right, they wouldn't be put over there by their own means. They wouldn't be placed over there by atheists. Okay, their mission statement, first of all, wouldn't need to be a mission statement. It wouldn't need to be a declaration. It would just happen through divine intervention. All right, a great deliverance we know is foretold to happen, where the Lord gathers his elect from the four winds of the earth and places them back in that land. All right, and the narrative for all of these years is that they are a fulfillment of the true biblical Israelites going back to that land, which what is supposed to happen in that land, all right, when they get there is peace. As a matter of fact, let's get the book of Psalms 122. Bring this out real quick. So there's a lot happening. All right, this is why we have to constantly bring these things out, because if you get caught in, you know, all of the confusion they got out there with Diddy and, you know, which that's all prophetic too, you know, the wicked on the left hand, our own people being exposed, you know, for rubbing elbows with these devils. But all right, there's bigger fish to fry than some goddamn Diddy. Okay, and we all know what goes on in Hollywood and in that music industry anyway. And they use these black members of the Boule to be the gatekeepers to keep everybody's mind shifted away from the reality of what's happened. Well, the reality of what's happened is that the wicked is being revealed. Okay, and everything that's happening is proving that we, right, the Israelites, those of us who are teaching in sincerity and truth, all right, have been telling the truth. All right, for years it was our apostles and elders that told us that it would be the least of the flock. All right, this is Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and against his purposes, and his purposes that he have proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate within them. And the least of the flock points to these small hats. They're going to draw out, all right, all of these various different nations, even, you know, Edomite nations that belong to the beast system, to war. All right, a lot of countries are now indifferent, all right, on their approach, on the support of these people. All right, a lot of countries are drawing back, even the UK. But we'll get into those things. But it was our apostles and elders, you know, when we first came in, who constantly told us that the small hats will be at the forefront of drawing these nations out, all right, and that they weren't the people, all right. It was our apostles and elders that gave us that truth, and we, you know, ran with the truth, and it's all coming to be true, all right. The scriptures say when the true Israelites get in that land, there will be peace in Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, let me pull it up here. Let's just get Psalms 22. Let's see, Psalms 22, or 122. Okay, a prayer for the peace of Jerusalem. All right, this is Psalms 122:3. It says, Jerusalem is builded as a city that is compacted together. Whether the tribes go up the tribes of Yahweh unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks to the name of Yahweh. And the whole Zionist movement, the whole state of Israel, had nothing to do with giving thanks to the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. They did it by their own means, and it was atheists who established that. Okay, this wasn't done in the name of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, they just nitpicked a few scriptures, all right, and pushed a bunch of garbage to the West to gain support for all of the war crimes and the evils that they have done. See, but we're at the very end of their madness, which is why they're throwing up all of these enchantments. Okay, the tribes are going to give thanks to the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, for there are set thrones of judgment. All right, set thrones of judgment. All right, the thrones of the house of David. See, the thrones of the house of David. See, and we have not seen any talking point pointing towards the throne of David. All right, here it is. They have a prime minister with a hernia. You see, a prime minister with a hernia. All right, but yet you're boasting on, being the chosen people established back into the land. All right, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love thee. All right, peace be within thy walls and prosperity within thy palaces. See, peace, all right, is supposed to be in Jerusalem when the throne of David is established. All right, but before that, there will be complete chaos, war, confusion, and a lot of lies, as we know. All right, pursuant to the book of Luke. Okay, Luke, the 21st chapter. So we always go into Luke 21 and 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations. The true Israelites, and Jerusalem, the landmass, shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, so the time of the Gentiles is being fulfilled in these times, and we believe, all right, that we're here. The word, all right, is plero, all right, or pleru, for fulfilled, to make full, to fill up, to cause, to abound, to furnish, to render full, all right, consummate in a number, to make complete, to carry through, all right, sayings, promises, prophecies, to bring to pass, ratify, accomplish, to fulfill, all right, and the time of the Gentiles, all right, is being fulfilled through this wicked power structure that's in the planet Earth. The revival of Rome, America, NATO, the EU, which, as we'll show you, they're divided right now in many ways. All right. But for years, we've been telling you the role of the small hats in this whole thing. All right. Which they were established, all right, by the British, all right, by the UN, by Esau, Edom as well. This is nothing but a forwarding of colonization. And now we're living at a time where many people, all right, are up on it. They're waking up to this fact. And this is why you have all of these protests and the ruler, so-called, the prime minister, which again, we know he's just a pawn in the whole grand scheme of things, and who really controls it, but he's being called out.
It's viewed as an historic duty in Germany because of the Holocaust, so even murmurs of questioning that support is quite significant. And of course, as millions of Christians celebrated Easter over the weekend, Pope Francis called for ceasefire as he presided over Easter Mass on Sunday. Now, in his address before thousands of worshipers, the Pope said, quote, "I appeal once again that access to humanitarian aid be ensured to Gaza, and call once more for the prompt release of the hostages seized on last October 7th.
And this is all a sham. Now, we're going to get back to that. What I wanted to bring out was this video here from ex Douglas McGregor, Colonel Douglas McGregor. Let's listen to this. We'll get back to that.
A major response from Iran. So it's a foregone conclusion. Mr. Netanyahu must escalate to survive. And he believes that escalating the war is ultimately Israel's salvation. How do you escalate the war? You goad Iran into attacking you. And this is a direct provocation designed to precipitate a major response from Iran. So it's a foregone conclusion that if Mr. Netanyahu is successful and we are dragged into this, we will end up fighting with the Russians directly.
See,
Most of your political...
see, if we are dragged into this, and who's the we? America. They're going to be dragged into direct conflict with Iran and Russia, which is exactly what the book of Ezekiel 38 goes into. Okay, and the small hats, the land of Israel, all right, is being occupied by actual heathen and Gentile. Okay, which of course there's Israelites over there, but who has control of it is the small hats. Okay, the wicked. All right, and they're working wickedness. All right, and it's going to lead to what we know as Armageddon. All right, and we're just that close. We're not saying it's coming this week, next week. We're showing you that we're in those times. All right, but there's conflict with Iran, with Russia. All right, and America will be drawn into it. All right, you see your President Biden acting as if he's balking against the small hats. That's because it's ultimately an election year. He has to look like a hero. But ultimately, we know where this all is going to lead. But listen to what he says.
Class is bought and paid for by the Israeli lobby. Hatred has taken over. Emotion. Mr. Netanyahu must escalate to survive. And he believes that escalating the war is ultimately Israel's salvation. How do you escalate the war? You goad Iran into attacking you. And this is...
See, if he gets a war started, then he can be looked at as some kind of hero because he's losing support. And this is what they always do. All right, when they look bad, when everybody's up against them, a war automatically breaks out. All right, and then it shifts focus on this common enemy that we must all be worried about and all come up against, which is now Iran and the of course the Muslims and all of these various different things, and it's just going to lead to more chaos, man, and more hospitals are being bombed, embassies are being bombed, children are being bombed in the process. All right, which we know that this is all really ethnic cleansing. All right, and colonialism. All right, it's never stopped. Okay,
this is a direct provocation designed to precipitate a major response from Iran. So it's a foregone conclusion that if Mr. Netanyahu is successful and we are dragged into this, we will end up fighting with the Russians directly. Most of your political class is bought and paid for by the Israeli lobby. Hatred has taken over. Emotion has taken over. There is no rational calculus unless you want to judge plans for the annihilation of Arabs in Gaza, in the West Bank, and potentially southern Lebanon as a rational calculus. I don't think you're going to see a deliberate counterstrike from Iranian soil because, again, the Iranians don't want a war. This is the thing that has to be understood. Nobody in the region except the Israelis and the United States are enthusiastic about the war. I think that the globalist elites that are ruling the states in Europe, in Western Europe primarily, are unwilling to admit the truth because they know if they admit the truth, they'll be held accountable at the ballot box and they will lose. I think they're going to lose anyway. But when the truth comes out, they've had it because they've also committed suicide economically, as you know, by rejecting cheap Russian energy and turning to us for expensive energy and to other means, believing that the future consists of windmills and solar panels.
And that's destroying a lot of these European countries for the sanctions that's been put against Russia to stop getting the cheaper oil from them. All right, and get the oil from the United States. That's really ruining a lot of the economies of these European countries, Germany being one of them. And it's only going to lead to more and more friction. All right, it's going to lead to more and more tension. And this is what we want. This is what the scripture said will happen as the EU and NATO will break up.
There's no future for windmills and solar panels. That's a lot of nonsense. Civilization needs a lot of cheap, effective energy. You're only going to get that from coal, oil, gas, and nuclear power. But they're going to persist in this fantasy as long as they can. They have nowhere else to go. The whole thing is a farce. It's a bad joke. It is foreshadowing the end of the European Union, I think, and the end of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
You heard that? This is foreshadowing the end of the European Union, okay, and the end of NATO, all right? And we'll go right back to that. Let's get the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. Okay. Revelation, the 17th chapter. And the 16th verse. And the 10 horns which thou sawest on the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right. This is the EU, which has started out as 10 nations. Now it's about 28, 29. All right. Because again, they have more power, more room to work with. More nations have joined themselves unto this beast. All right. But it started out as the 10 nations, the 10 common markets. So the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right. So the EU nations, this conglomerate, this as we read in the book of Obadiah, this confederacy that they've made, all right, they're gonna break up. They're gonna hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her with her flesh and burn her with fire. They're gonna turn on her. For God hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree to give their kingdom to the beast, unto the words of the Most High be fulfilled. So they gave their kingdom to the beast up until this point. Now, all right, they're looking to operate away from Babylon. They're looking at how being linked to Babylon and, following Babylon and working for the interest of Babylon and following the sanctions Babylon puts on Russia and these different nations. They're figuring out that it's hurting their economy. So different nations that are within the EU, now they have to start to worry about, well, what about our economy? What about our people? What about our position in this new world order? What about this? What about us? What about that? And Babylon is in a way, okay, in many ways.
All to support this mindless, impulsive war against Russia, utilizing the Ukrainian people and their country as cannon fodder.
Right, and as we, let me see if I can find it. You can see here, U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, Ukraine will become a member of NATO. See? Which that goes against the agreements, that goes against everything that the so-called agreement that they, NATO had with Russia, that they would no longer push towards Russia. All right, which is why there's friction over there in the first place. But it says the U.S. and Germany do not support Ukraine's ascension to NATO. All right. Ukraine's deputy prime minister, all right, for integration. And you can look more into it, but all right, absolutely all allies support the decision to invite Ukraine to NATO at the summit in Washington, except for the United States and Germany, which, of course, the United States it's a goddamn lie, man. They're just trying to look good overall, because who's been funding the whole goddamn war in the first place? Okay, who's using this as a proxy to start with Russia in the first place? Babylon, man. Okay. Germany, they tired of their economy being destroyed from the sanctions. So that, there's a lot of division, within this whole power structure of Esau, Edom. They're at the very end of the road. All right. And this is a beautiful time to be alive. All right. As you can see, it feels eerie. There's a lot that they're trying to do on the left hand. They're trying to throw up all of these enchantments to save them from the reality of what's happening, but there's nothing they can do. All right. But if Ukraine does join NATO, all right, it's going to be more means of a war. Okay. Let's go back to this guy here and keep listening. We'll back it up a little bit.
There's no future for windmills and solar panels. That's a lot of nonsense. Civilization needs a lot of cheap, effective energy. You're only going to get that from coal, oil, gas, and nuclear power. But they're going to persist in this fantasy as long as they can. They have nowhere else to go. The whole thing is a farce. It's a bad joke. It is foreshadowing the end of the European Union, I think, and the end of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All to support this mindless, impulsive war against Russia, utilizing the Ukrainian people and their country as cannon fodder.
Right. It's just a proxy. And again, the Lord have put it in all of these EU, NATO countries to give their kingdom to the beast, for the purpose of Babylon, until the words of the Lord be fulfilled, which that's in that time where they're reneging on those agreements. Daniel, the second chapter, they're reneging on a lot of those, that confederacy that they had. All right. And they're starting to look out for themselves. All right. As Babylon has everybody's giving Babylon a side eye, even their own allies.
But then again, I think that we have perhaps the most ill-equipped, ill-prepared people in the history of this country running our foreign and defense policy, as well as our domestic agenda. They don't live in the real world. They're in a bubble in Washington. I run into people all the time that say, there's no economic crisis. There's no problem. We can continue to print money. And all you have to do is use your head and understand that every 100 days we add another $1 trillion to the national sovereign debt. But that doesn't make any difference because we dominate the world financially. Well, that's changing. And now that Moscow has the lead in the BRICS, and that BRICS organization is growing rapidly, I think you're going to see a move to gold-pegged currency in much of Eurasia. And as that develops, the dollar is going to be reduced in importance and essentially expelled. The future is grim. Mr. Netanyahu must escalate to survive.
The future is grim, and all of these monetary wars, which we know the elites are behind it all, lead to what? Physical war. They're not gonna. That's the U.S. dollar ain't gonna become secondary without some type of war or crazy thing happening. All right, so I would love to see it. Hey, but call hello Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. The words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai are being fulfilled. Okay, and the gross darkness that once ruled and covered and controlled the narrative is, it's out there. Okay, this can't be the people of the Lord. Again, we always bring out that the people in that land, all right, would bring peace to the world. There would be no more war. We always bring those things out. Let's get this other video I had as well, and then we can close it out.
We're bombing embassies now. That is the state of the world. Are we going to stand for it? While most of the media is horrified that Israel bombed clearly marked aid vehicles in Gaza, killing international aid workers, we are too. And we are equally horrified about the bombing of a consulate and the violations of international law that could spell out war for everyone. That's you and me, folks. Here's the Telegraph today trying to get your attention to the death of this man in Gaza because he doesn't look like the normal Middle Eastern person we are used to seeing as victims.
He looks like Hamas.
In Gaza. No, he does not. I don't think, okay, I don't want to make prejudice about what nationality people are, but he was in clearly marked vehicles for an organization that
they're just over there bombing all kind of people, man. And it's a stain. It's a shit stain, and a lot of people are noticing it now. All right, but the Western Christian world, all right, has supported it. All right, you have some of them starting to wake up, but the likes of Vocab Malone, they have supported these small hats and everything that they're doing, even using, all right, the book of Deuteronomy, the book of Numbers, and various, nitpicking certain scriptures to justify slaughtering who they call these Ishmaelites, Amalek. Yeah. Okay. As a matter of fact, all right, as they've been bombing these, Palestinians, his Netanyahu's recent biblical reference has long been used by the Israeli far right to justify taking out these Palestinians. All right, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the Israelis were united in their fight against Hamas, whom he described as an enemy of incomparable cruelty. They are committed to completely eliminating this evil from the world, he said in the Hebrew. Then he added, "You must remember what Amalek has done to you," says our Holy Bible. We do remember. So they went to the Bible to justify a war, to justify slaughtering. You see, now let us have done that. All right? Let us have done that. Vocab Malone would have lost his damn mind. That would have been a talking point for the ages. That would have been a talking point day in and day out that the Hebrew Israelites, the black Hebrew Israelites, Hebrew Israelism, they're using biblical scriptures to justify going out and bombing, which we don't have bombs. We don't have weapons. We don't push that. All right. Ultimately, we're just preaching the word. Yet we're getting set up and prepared to be likened unto domestic terrors, man. All right. But again, the whole world is now seeing the reality of who these people are and what they really stand for. It's only so long, as the scriptures say, the joy of the hypocrite. Okay. The joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. Okay. You only had a little season to push these lies and to get away with your madness. Okay. Job 20. All right. And 4, knowest thou not since since the day man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. All right. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, all right, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They will see him, so say, where is he? So the wicked were only given a small, time of rulership to do their wickedness. Okay, and their excellency has mounted to the heavens. All right, Obadiah verse 3 says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, who saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, from thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And they're doing all kind of evil and wickedness with these particular blessings they've been blessed with on the left-hand side. Even today, there's going to be an eclipse, right? And, they're clearly using CERN and NASA to invoke enchantments. Who knows what's going to happen? We hope something big happens because we're tired of this madness. There's time out for the wicked. Look at all of this confusion in the earth, man. Everywhere you look, it's just nothing but confusion, all right, and wicked, evil acts being done, all right, to humans, to animals, to the plants, to the fruit. Children are prey. Can't forget that. You have all of these people in Hollywood, who are coming out, all right, on all of the evils and atrocities that were done. All right, children, all right, are clearly a prey. So it's time out for the wicked. But let's listen to a little bit more of this. All right, because these people are through.
Was there to provide food aid to the starving people in Gaza from World Kitchen Central. Here's video.
So they're over there trying to help the people in Gaza, all right, but they're bombing the aid workers. So what is it? Because they don't want aid going over there. They want those people totally decimated. They want an ethnic cleansing, all right? These people are sick, and it's happening right before the whole world. Yet you're looking for a terrorist? The terrorist has been right there, right before your eyes the whole goddamn time.
Of that vehicle, which was struck by bombs, you can tell it was marked. There is no way to think, oh, is that Hamas? Is that a terrorist organization? No, that's aid.
Well, Netanyahu this afternoon said it was a total accident. Total accident.
Yes. Here's exactly what the IDF says, that they are carrying out an in-depth examination at the highest levels to understand the circumstances of this tragic incident. So, do you need an in-depth investigation to know that the bombing in Gaza is indiscriminate and that it's killing more civilians than actual targets? I don't think you need it. There's your conclusion. That's what's happening. I just said it.
It like they said that they saw a weapon. That was their excuse. But the thing is, like, let's say they did see a weapon. Does it justify, like, for one potential terrorist to take out, that many innocent civilians?
Well, that is their calculation. Yes, that is the ratio.
Well, that's what
hang
they
on.
say.
So they're saying that
He got the debt clock in the back.
it was unintentional. Like this was unintentional, and he had a gun. Am I the only one that sees the problem there?
Great point. Yeah, exactly. As Barb in the chat says, IDF knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, let us know in the chat room right now. Does anyone believe they didn't know what they were doing, targeting these aid trucks? I mean, come on. We know exactly what they're doing. I mean, but anyway, I'd be curious. Let us know in the chat if you think that Netanyahu is...
Well, they know that they don't know what they're doing. That's my take on it. They know that they're bombing indiscriminately.
Right.
I don't think it was an intentional targeting of an aid vehicle. Could have been, but I think that they're just spreading bombs out, kind of like you spray...
That was a pretty precise hit on the roof of that vehicle. They had to, it was right on top.
Yeah.
Someone in our chat.
The fact that they're attempting to siege Gaza, you don't want food going in. The idea of a siege is to starve the population out. And so to me, it seems very intentional because that's what you would want to do in a siege.
Okay, let us know in the chat what you think. Was it targeting the aid or is it incompetence because of too many bombs? We're free to have our opinion here.
Yeah.
What? Are you going to say something?
No, I'm listening to you.
So, yes, Israel is acting all mea culpa about this. Like, whoops, my bad. We really didn't mean to. We'll find out what happens. They are not acting this way about the bombing of the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria on Monday. Watch this footage.
Look at that. Why are they bombing in Damascus? Goodness gracious. It's the capital of Syria, I believe, right? So what are they over there bombing for?
Okay, so Israel told CNN that it would not comment on this, but they are saying, we thought it was a military target, or we still think it is. Here's the quote in CNN. They're saying, we won't comment. However, a military spokesperson says Israel believes the target struck was a military building of Quds forces, which is still a unit of the Iranian foreign operations. Here's what another spokesperson said. According to our intelligence, this is no consulate and this is no embassy. I repeat, this is no consulate and this is no embassy. This is a military building of Quds forces disguised as a civilian building in...
It was an embassy. And again, this is going to draw... Iran has interest over here. Russia has interest over here. Okay, they're over there doing all this wickedness. And who's going to have to come help is Babylon the Great. Okay? Which that's what the elites want anyway. All right, you have people just cursing them out. Look at all of the comments. Israel needs to fight their own war. Okay? No help to Israel. Those are not God's people, and they know it. So the people are waking up. This is why they got to go ahead and put all these enchantments out. This is why they got to go ahead and hurry up with what they're trying to do, because everybody's on to them. All right, and the end is near, man.
Damascus, but 4 unnamed Israeli officials acknowledged that Israel did carry out the attack, according to the New York Times. Now, reports are that the building was connected to the embassy, so let's take a closer look at a still image. You can see the embassy there on the left, and what they're saying is that the connecting building was where the ambassador lives, although he wasn't there at the time, thankfully, but 7 other people were and got killed. I'm sorry, it might be 5. I think I'm mixing up the attacks here. Having never been there, none of us can say if it is part of the embassy or not, but it sure seems like it is. And even CNN is saying that this is, quote, the most dangerous escalation outside of Gaza since the start of the Hamas-Israel war nearly 6 months ago. You think?
Yeah. And I spoke to Colonel McGregor just a short time ago, who says, I mean, this is the bait right now. Will the Biden administration fall for this? This is, in fact, in many ways, suicide for Israel to carry this out. And will the United States be dragged into this war? This is exactly what Israel wants, is to be dragged into this war.
Is for the United States
to be dragged in.
Yeah, I'm going to remind you how Kavor Kalmassian said that just yesterday on our show in just a minute. But first, let's remind ourselves how big of a deal is to attack an embassy. Consulates and their staff have protection under the United Nations Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crimes against Internationally Protected Persons. This was a decree that was signed in 1973. Here it is, according to the United Nations. An attack on an embassy is an attack on the nation itself, which means that we can say that Israel now is bombing Iran directly. They bomb Syria all the time. That's not new. But a direct hit to Iran now. Now, the ambassador was not harmed, but he says that Iran will respond in a decisive manner. Here is what the Ayatollah said today. The evil Zionist regime will be punished at the hands of our brave men. We will make them regret this crime and the other ones.
So that's good. So now, again, you come back to how is the United States going to benefit from this, right? Like when you look at this and we're talking about the United States involvement in this, it doesn't. The United States will be dragged into this and it will be a disaster for the American people.
Yes, exactly right.
I just want to point out that we would be further dragged into this because we're already in it.
Right,
We're sending weapons and all this. So it would just be an escalation of our involvement.
Yeah, some people in the chat are saying, I stand with Israel. Others are saying, I see V. Weitman says Israel can fend for itself. So there's, this conflicting people. People are saying, you guys make me nauseous with this. It's unbelievable. Like, so you really want the United States to be involved in this?
Because people are still under that juice, that Kool-Aid, that those are the people. All right, and this is nothing but them working wickedness as they always do, man. Okay, but the water Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, their end is up on them. I just drew a blank. Let's get Psalms 58 and 2. All right. Yea, in heart you work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your hand in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. See, and this is all a lie. This is all a farce. This is all BS. This is all madness. And this is just all Esau, Edom doing what he does best. Now, we know that the prophecy says in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, then we'll end this off. You can look up more on these topics. 2nd Esdras 15, maybe around 28. It says, behold, a horrible vision in the appearance from the east. All right, which is where this is all taking place. All right, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. All right. And they which hear them, all right, may fear and tremble. This is going to draw out these Arab nations, man. Also the Carmanians, all right, which is who are Iran. Okay. The Carmanians. See if we can. Okay, maybe in this app I can't. All right, but if you look up Carmanian, that's ancient Iran. That's ancient Persians, which is Iran today. Raging with wrath shall go forth as wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come. All right. And in battle with them, they're going to join, with those Arabs. All right. And shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. All right. And that speaks to America, Babylon the Great, the modern day Assyria. Okay. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. All right. The Ishmaelites, wild people. All right. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together, all right, and a great power to persecute them. So ultimately, we're living in beautiful times, man. Okay. We know what Ezekiel, the 38th chapter says. Okay. That is going to be verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia. Persia is Iran. The Carmanians, Ethiopia, Libya with them. They're going to all join with Russia. Okay, so this skirmish over here in the Damascus, Syria, that could lead to drawing them out. Who knows? But we're here, all right, and all of the everything that we need to be, on the books is here, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua to get us the salvation we need. Lord willing, we'll be back with more. Shalom.